Hello again, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Terry McGriff Show. Just happy to have you with us today, along with my illustrious co-host, Andre L. Sullivan. Andre, how are you?
I'm making it. Glad you looking at me looking at you.
Oh, yeah. It's a great thing to be alive. You know, we got a little bit of this COVID resurgence I'm hearing around on the news and stuff like that. So it's good that everybody's still with us, that we love and we know. Hopefully we keep these people in prayer that are not, making it through this COVID. But we got a nice, exciting show today. Once again, before we get started, I want to take a shout out to everybody with our sponsors of Watch Game Film, Team Sportswear Direct, Women's Tackle Football League, Laces Out, and the Demp Project. Once again, guys, if you like our content, please hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to our channel. We do a good job for you. We try to give you good football and other sports content, mainly football, but we give you some good content. So please subscribe to us. Let those people know that you love and what we're doing. But got a pretty good show today. We're going to talk about some news here that we, as we're going on Wednesday, one day before they start the second full week of preseason tomorrow on Thursday. We got to talk about Tim Tebow. We want to, hear a little bit of Tebow, some reactions to our first week with the preseason, what we liked, what we didn't like, what we saw, a couple of these rookie quarterbacks and some other things that we saw out there. And lastly, we're going to finish up our series here on the NFL divisions with the AFC North division. Very interesting division, one of the better divisions in football. So let's get started real quick here. So let's talk about this. Now, we saw the game. I'm sure you heard and seen the highlights of Mr. Tim Tebow, one of the best college football players to ever play college football. With his cup of coffee, I would say he had more than a cup of coffee in the NFL as a quarterback, but he tried again to make his comeback in football as a tight end after been out since 2013, 2014, something like that, somewhere around in there. And obviously, I think the handwriting was on the wall with him when we didn't notice, when we noticed that he wasn't doing any special teams just on Saturday night. He didn't play at all on special teams. A lot of people talked about the blocking or that lackluster block that he had, but what was telling to me is that he didn't play out on special teams. And as a tight end linebacker, and you're not starting, and you're not a superstar, you better be able to play on tight end. You better play on special teams. So it was really telling that he didn't play special teams to me, and I wasn't surprised when he was on one of the cuts this week.
No, I mean, I can't disagree with that analogy of it. My take on it is that tight end room was kind of crowded. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the way Urban Meyer has done his tight ends, and for that matter, fullbacks, for the length of his coaching career, you either can do it or you can't. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't. I mean, I don't want to, try to make light of his short stint with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but he gave it his all. Don't get me wrong, Tim Tebow, if he wants to try again, someone will pick him up. Mm-hmm. Just to fill a 90-man roster mm-hmm. in the preseason and OTAs. But mm-hmm. I think the thing that we can take from this is that I don't think any of this puts a damper on the career and legacy of Tim Tebow.
Not at all.
I think, if anything, it speaks to his character and how hard he's willing to work. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing bad said about him in the press release when he was released. Nothing but great things to say from the locker room, from his teammates. So, I mean, we wish him the best, and we hope to possibly see him again in the future. But if we don't, he's always welcome back in the commentating table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of the things I think was probably when they did talk about that. He knows he can go back and he can go on back on the SEC network. He's probably already there, right now, unless he thinks there might be a chance for him to latch on a practice squad or something like that, or maybe with another team. But most likely, I'm thinking he's going back, and we'll see him in a couple of weeks on the SEC Network or on pregame show on Saturdays. The season starts in a week on the 28th, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him out there on that. He's a great, and he's great on television, in my opinion. I think he does a good job. He does his little freak of the week type commentary. He has his little segment on that SEC Network pregame show. So, I actually enjoyed him on that, But what I like to say that he should be an inspiration for people that sell, regardless of your age, regardless of what your status is, go for your dreams. And he one of those people that does that. Tried his hand again at baseball, that didn't work out. He would go try a different position at football, that didn't work out. Even at the ripe old age of 34, which the odds was long against him anyway. And I think that they treated him well. I think he did. He was very professional out there, and so. Like I said, wish him well on that. Hopefully that he'll be able to, do whatever he needs to do in the future. He has tons of stuff that he's done. He ain't hurting for money. He's definitely going to have a name. He actually might even become even more popular in the social media. I think those jerseys that he sold out there are going to be worth even more money. That number 85, will it be as much as the number 15 now? So we'll see on that. Let's move on to our next subject. We gave Tim his credit and his due. I want to talk about the first week this week of what you thought about NFL preseason, what some of the things you saw, some of your observations.
Observation number one, if you slept on Justin Fields, I hope you get everything you deserve in life. I mean, just good God, people. I tried to tell y'all didn't want to listen to me. It's cool. I'm okay with that. The Jets are taking their number one pick slowly, and it's working. Mm-hmm. I love what they're doing with him up there in New York. It's going to turn out phenomenal if they do it correctly and they take the time. Down here in Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence is Trevor Lawrence. We knew what they were getting. Him starting did not surprise anyone. Mm-hmm. But don't be surprised if you see they pull the reins on him just a little bit here in week 2 of the preseason. Mm-hmm. They're not willing to put their prize horse just in the races just as yet. Mm-hmm. The big thing I saw, hey, if you're a Cleveland Brown fan, you have something to really be happy about. Mm-hmm. That defense is for real. It is not for show. Listen, you didn't even have all of your horses on the field, and you held another NFL team without a touchdown. It's okay. Well, at least for the first half. Then again, look, hey, if y'all paid attention, the Rams are still the Rams. Matter of fact, they might look. I hate to say this, but it might look like a better Ram team than last year. Mm-hmm. And that defense is scary. And by the way, Jalen Ramsey is still that guy.
Mm-hmm. Take you some of my takes was Jordan Love. He's got talent. Jordan Love, Green Bay, he showed me some talent, and I think they'll be in good hands once he gets the reins. What was really more impressive, the professionalism and the camaraderie that was showed with Aaron Rodgers when he went over there and was coaching him through things. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers got that same type of treatment when he was under Brett Favre. You know what I mean? Where he with Brett Favre and came over there and gave him some pointers when they know that he's there to take his job. That was really encouraging to see how Aaron Rodgers was kind of seemed like taking him under his wing. I think even said that Aaron Rodgers has a nickname for him. So that means they got some type of rapport in that quarterback room, which is a good thing. And I think that he showed in that little bit of time he was out there, he showed the talent that I see why they picked him there. Maybe it was not the right time, but I understand what they saw in him to pick him to be the successor. But the professionalism showed. I'm really interested in seeing how that goes forward as we go into the preseason. What got me also was the Arizona Cardinals are, I think, going to make a surge to try to win that division this year. I saw what they had out there on the field. Defensively, oh my God, they're going to be able to match up with anybody. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I think there might be a flip-flop in that. I know we ain't talking about the division now, but whatever. As I'm laid eyes on them in the preseason and some of the horses, we ain't just talking about just Buda Baker and Isaiah Simmons and J.J. Watt. They got some horses on that other side of that we're not getting them as much pub, but I think they're going to be pretty good. I mean, I'm really hoping for it because I think their head coach is under the gun on this one, and he better produce something. But they got some stars and some stars on both sides of the ball, which was really impressive. Now on it, Christian Kirk is, as your third receiver, is pretty dangerous. You know what I mean? When you think about what they got, and there's a rumor that Mr. Fitzgerald might be coming back. So that would be really, really interesting. Another observation for me was looking at the Giants when they played the Jets. You were talking about that game. The Giants, they look pretty good up front on the offensive line, and they got some depth there that I didn't think that they had. And they didn't even play a lot of their stars that game. I was like, okay, you got some stuff, you got some pieces to work here with. We up here down here in Florida, we ain't really seeing what y'all got up there. I'm glad you showed that y'all got some stuff going on up there. And let's talk about the Jaguars. Defensively, they got some horses that we don't know about. I really like the way the Cleveland Browns are going to Cleveland Browns and their offensive line in truth. And what I like the way is the way they held up against the run. If they can continue doing that against the run, they're going to be better. And like I said, I've already penciled in for 7 to 8 wins. That's the high watermark for them this year. If they don't get there, then I think Urban Meyer has failed that team. But I can see 7 to 8 wins this year. That's the high watermark for me. Lastly, one of the teams I want to talk about was the Denver Broncos. That quarterback competition between those two guys is real. Then both of them put up pretty good numbers. So what says, there's an old saying, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. This might be an aberration to that because those 2 guys are really competing for that job. And I think the fact that they both played pretty good, and I know this was preseason, I understand that it was, you had some second and third, but what I'm talking about, the competency of the way the quarterbacks played the position. And if they can get anything out of that position, they'll be a dangerous team in the AFC West because they have weapons. And with their defensive guys coming back healthy, God forbid if they should, as long as they stay healthy, they'll be competitive. So what I see gives me what we talked about in a couple other shows. I think there's going to be some big time turnover in the playoffs. There's about 2 or 3 teams that made the playoffs this year that'll be out, and 2 or 3 teams that didn't make it that will be in there instead of normally just 1 or 2. There's going to be probably an extra 2 or 3 teams that are really going to make that jump that didn't make that jump. I saw Buffalo, but it was kind of vanilla. I really didn't get the feel for what they're going to be able to do because, obviously, playing Detroit, I didn't get a really good feel for what was going on with them. I did watch that game on Friday night. Lastly who got me was the good Lord. I like the kid for Houston. I forgot what his name, the quarterback out of Stanford. That might be their future. They don't have much, but the kid showed a lot of poise. I can't think of his name. Lord, forgive me for forgetting to get kid's name. I'm talking about the 3rd round pick they got out of Stanford quarterback. Here's an observation. Lastly, Mac Jones. Mac Jones looked very, very comfortable in that offense. He looked like what they thought he could be. He almost a Tom Brady clone. Will we get that type of production? I don't know, but we did see a lot of competency out here. I still don't think he's going to win the starting job. I still think Cam's going to be the starter there. And I didn't see Cam at all, so I missed it because I came in a little late. So I'm waiting to see what they do this weekend to make some more observations on that. What are you thinking?
Same stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Overall, what I think was what I did I saw a lot of clean play in preseason. I didn't see a lot of these guys hadn't been putting in work and it was sloppy. Kind of like what we said. I really don't think they need the preseason the way these guys are doing mini camps and stuff now, but it was actually pretty clean to watch some decent football. It was not, even the Jaguars game, there wasn't overload of penalties and stuff like that. One last thing about that Jaguars, you made a great point. That offensive line was troubling to me to give up that many sacks in a preseason game. And Cleveland didn't have their studs in the game. That worries me. You know what I mean? So I don't know how much time I would put, how long I would keep Trevor Lawrence out there either. It was some guys that I was very disappointed, especially when the man gets sacked on the first play of the game. That's troubling. He did show poise by coming back and leading them to a couple first downs on that drive, but that's not what you want to see. And then they sent Brian Linder needs some time. He needs some work on here. I guess he's got a slight injury. I'm not feeling this offensive line. They need to get it together, or there needs to be some changes. Well, let's roll on to this then. Let's roll on into our two, because I don't want to talk about them because I wanted to get more of them as we talk about the NFC North division today. Your observations before I go. I talked long enough. You tell me what you're thinking.
So the AFC North or NFC North?
AFC North. I don't know why I keep jumping on the NFC North. Oh, because I had this game on with the Bucks.
and I'll make this real quick. The Steelers are in the AFC North. Am I wrong or correct?
Yeah, they're in the AFC North.
Okay, when's the last time the Steelers had a losing season? You don't know? It's cool. I'll tell you.
70s or the 80s?
No, it's cool. I'll tell you. 2005, they had more losses than they had wins.
That wasn't under the current head coach because he's never had a losing season.
Correct. So that should tell you everything you should know. Listen, man. There's a lot of up and coming talent in this division. Don't get me wrong. You got Joe Burrow at the Bengals. You got my guy at the Browns, and then you got Lamar Jackson at the Ravens. All this from top to bottom, they have great QB play.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem: looking from top to bottom, there isn't consistent team play.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Bengals, who we don't know what type of defense the Bengals are going to bring and put on the field. The Browns look great on paper, but we're still waiting to see if they can be the Browns that can keep moving forward. And then the Ravens, yeah, they flash in the regular season, but do they really do anything in the postseason where it really, really counts? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, until any of that changes, it's still Mike Tomlin and the Ben Roethlisberger-led Steelers that'll take this division for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get you. And that the good, that's the good, the bad, and the ugly of this division. They are competitive. Even I think the Bengals will be more competitive. You just don't know whether defensively they'll be good enough to stop anybody, especially when you meet the Ravens and the Steelers. The Ravens going to pretty much run it down your throat, while the Steelers are probably, even though they're going to commit more to running the ball, I still think they're going to chunk it around quite a bit on that Bengals defense. So, and then even though they did a great job getting into the playoffs, beating the Steelers in the playoffs, I am not 100% sold on Cleveland, even though I think they're going to be a good upcoming team. I just think they're a distraction away in the locker room from something going wrong, from them being a Super Bowl contender to being a contender for the first pick in the draft. Their backup quarterback situation kind of scares me because, I saw what they had, and, he's a dink and dunk guy. Yeah, did they do that? That was against the Jaguars defense when they didn't have all their starters in either. I watched them play the Jaguars, and he let them down on those little check down passes and stuff like that. But when they got in the red zone with him, he couldn't get them in the end zone. So if their starting quarterback goes down, obviously, like the majority of teams with a starting quarterback down, they might be pretty sunk just because of the division there. And normally, if they're in another division, they're obviously a la AFC, they might have a chance. But I have to see what Cleveland does in the long haul. A lot of their guys definitely going to have to stay healthy, which is the normal thing. But definitely for the Steelers for the Browns on defense, their defensive guys have to stay healthy. They can't lose. They don't have that kind of depth. The Ravens. I don't know if I have much more I can add on you, but I am going to see that they actually are trying to address their woes in the passing game. But I just don't think that's going to be them. I don't think Sammy Watkins is going to come in there and fix that game, or Bateman is going to fix them as that team. I just don't see them as being a team that's going to be a passing team. I think they're going to pass just because they have to pass on certain situations. I don't think that's going to be their forte. I don't see that their personnel has shifted enough for them to be a passing team. It's good enough to win that division? Yeah, but I don't know, because then again, once again, you look at all the guys that they lost in free agency on that defense. You know, so I'm just still out to lunch on them. Will they be contended for the playoffs? Of course, because they're going to be able to do what they do with Lamar Jackson. Playoff time, I think they're going to be one and done. I really do, unless they, and I'll be the first one to say y'all prove me wrong once I see what they do in the passing game. I just don't see it yet. I see the Steelers, and I've seen them now since the Hall of Fame game. They've gotten some guys on defense, then retooled that defense in there, and I think they might even be better than they were last year. I mean, they started out 11-0, 12-0 last year, and then they kind of faltered down the stretch when they had some injuries. I just don't see them doing that this year. I think with the fact that they now have a number one back, I totally agree with you. He might be better than what they had before. Well, he's definitely going to be better than what they had the last couple of years in that tailback position. But I think they might be one of the teams that's the fly in the ointment that might challenge Buffalo and Kansas City for that chance to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. I can see it because I think Roethlisberger is on that like I'm coming toward the end, and I think they might make that push to be a run at the Super Bowl. It wouldn't surprise me to see them playing in the Super Bowl. You know, so it's just, you know, one of these days I can't wait for the season. I can't wait to see what week 2, because last week was so interesting in the preseason. So I can't wait to see what we're going to do in that. But doggone, man, hey, we kind of ran through a lot of that stuff today. You know, we had a lot going on. You know, you got a lot going on. Before we go, tell me what's going on with your team, with the high school. How's things looking?
Middle school first game Tuesday at 6 at Grand Park. High school first game next Friday versus Zarephath at 6 p.m.
How you looking? How you feeling about your team?
I'm ready to play. I wish I could strap up with them, but I can't. It's legal, but you know how that goes.
Okay. So, how you feeling about your outlook for your teams this year's season? You think you're going to be competitive?
I'm not gonna lie. As the media person in me never tries to predict anything. It stops me from doing that. Mm-hmm. And like I tell my players, your championship game is your next game. So we're looking to win championship Tuesday. And then we're looking to win championship next Friday. So.
You can give me that coach pick. I got you. I'm gonna leave it. I ain't gonna pressure on that. That's good. Well, once again, folks, this is what you get here on the Terry McGriff Show with that illustrious Andre L. Sullivan right there. He's giving you his media side, even though he's a coach too now. We just want you to know that we're going to give you as much good content about a little bit of everything as possible. Once again, if you like what we're doing, hit that subscribe button. You know, hit that like button too. Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Team Sportswear Direct, the Women's Tackle Football League, Watch Game Film. Once again, a shout out to our good folks over there at Laces Out and the Dimp Project. And once again, I'd like to thank my illustrious co-host, Andre L. Sullivan, and our great producer, Granville Moody Fowler. And if you like what we're doing, once again, hit that like button. And not until next week, we'll see you right here on the Terry McGriff Show. Y'all be blessed.